Are you serious? Are you serious? We have breaking news and a prophecy alert. A prophecy alert. According to breaking Israeli news, President Donald Trump is going to let the Jerusalem embassy veto expire in time for the 50 years of reunification, when Israel will celebrate its 50 years that Jerusalem has been liberated since the War of 1967, the Six-Day War. Now, President Trump would not renew the waiver that enables the president to postpone the implementation of the congressional decision to relocate the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. According to Representative Ron DeSantis, a Republican congressman from Florida, chairman of the House Subcommittee on National Security, he said this. He is heading the committee's tour to Israel to investigate moving the embassy. All right, so we told you last week that Trump had sent an envoy there to check it out. And one of those guys that went, the guy who's leading the charge, is from Florida, Ron DeSantis. Now, speaking at a press briefing at the Jerusalem King David Hotel, he said that he did not think President Trump would sign the waiver, which is due to renewal in May. Every 6 months, the President of the United States has to sign a renewal to keep the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv. Because in 1995, the United States Congress passed a law to move it. And Clinton signed it into law. But then he signed a 6 months waiver to hold on a minute before we move it for national security reasons. And every 6 months after that, every president has stalled. Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and now we have a new president, Donald Trump. And the 6 months is coming up in May. And Trump, it may be that Trump is not going to sign the veto. And if he don't, by law, they've got to move the embassy, which is what Trump said he promised he would do. Now, he didn't say exactly when he would do it in his first term here, but it may be sooner rather than later. Now, get this. May will be the 50th anniversary of the liberation of Jerusalem. And I believe it's May 24th, if I'm right. And that's called Jerusalem Day, I believe. And that could be the day that the president announces that he's not vetoing it no more and that the embassy will be moving. The waiver will expire. Now, ever since Congress enacted the Jerusalem Embassy Act of 1995, the presidents had the right under Section 7 to sign a semi-annual national security waiver that enables him to postpone the implementation of the decision, citing national security interests. So far, all the presidents, like I said, Clinton, Bush, Obama, who have held office since the measure was passed, has consistently postponed the relocating of the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem every 6 months. But what will President Trump do? All right. He said if he was elected, he would move it. And now that opportunity to allow it to happen is on its way in May. We're going to have to wait and see, folks, what comes out of this. But the word on the street, if you will, according to the congressman from Florida, is Trump is going to let the veto expire. Trump is going to let it happen. And that's what DeSantis is saying. And so we're going to wait and see how this plays out. It may be that Trump on Jerusalem Day, which I believe is May 24th. I can't verify that exactly right at the second, but in my mind is right. I believe it's May 24th, Jerusalem Day, maybe the day that Trump announces, I'm not signing the waiver. The U.S. Embassy is coming to Jerusalem. And if it happens, folks, and when it happens, folks, it clears the pathway. It says then, the United States is saying by doing this, that certainly Israel's capital is Jerusalem. And that makes a biblical prophecy confirming that Jerusalem is the city of the great king. It is the eternal city of God. And so that clears the pathway for the next series of events. If it is Israel's capital, then Israel should have the jurisdiction over all of the property there, including the Temple Mount. And that may start the process of the rebuilding of the third temple. And that, of course, is in biblical prophecy without question. In Daniel 9:27, we hear of the abomination of desolation. Jesus said, when you see that, you know you're at the end. And Apostle Paul explains what that means. But before you can have an abomination of desolation, you have to have a third temple. So it's an unbelievable series of events now. Biblical prophecy is moving at light speed. While that's going on, don't forget, as I talked about it yesterday in a YouTube video and on the live broadcast, the enemies of Israel are surrounding Jerusalem. They're everywhere. And Iran is now trying to set up a permanent military base in Syria. And Assad is starting to reposition troops as if he's setting up a front against Israel at the Golan Heights. And Benjamin Netanyahu is going to Moscow this Thursday to talk to President Vladimir Putin to try to get Putin. He's going to look him dead in the eye and say, look, are you going to let Iran stay there? You think you're going to let Iran build a military base in our backyard? So this is going to be an intense meeting in Moscow, okay? And it's the fourth time that Netanyahu has gone to Moscow to ask some frank questions. But now it's getting close. Because what happened? Iran tested missiles yesterday. Just saying. Kim Jong-un fired 4 missiles toward Japan, 3 of which landed in the economic zone or in the shipping zone waters near the coast of Japan. Are you serious? And then while they were firing off 4, Iran fired off 2 and hit a barge 150 miles away in the ocean to prove that they had pinpoint accuracy. So you got North Korea and Iran firing missiles yesterday, while in Washington in the swamp, the Democrats and some of those that are fighting the Trump administration are still backstabbing and poking the guy in the eye. We got to get our act together, folks. We got to get our act together. We are living in dangerous times. Give your life to Jesus Christ. I'll talk about all of that. And today's live broadcast starts at 12 noon Eastern. 12 noon Eastern at my website at www.paulbegleyprophecy.com. That's www.paulbegleyprophecy.com. Don't be late. I'll also be live right here on this YouTube channel. Are you serious?